Hello and good afternoon. I understood that my last stream was very deafening, so I'm actually going to restart my walkthrough. Um, Hopefully nobody saw the last one. If you did, I'm sorry if I blew your ears off. But this is Incursion Red River. It is a extraction first-person shooter that is primarily PvE. So that is the biggest difference between that and Escape from Tarkov. It is early access. It's in its pre-alpha state right now. So at the moment, there isn't a whole lot to do in a grand scheme of things. I personally like it because it's very old school Far Cry 2-esque style in terms of its UI aesthetic, and it feels kind of, it just has that kind of Ghost Recon vibe to me, where it's like you have to think things carefully, you have to take it slow. So we'll enter the hideout. I'll share a couple things. I'll actually throw my own tips in there, just as a sort of beginner's guide for everyone, because I feel like certain people have missed out. Not basic stuff, but like little hidden details that I really want to go all through. So you'll notice when you first come in here that this is the area that you start off with your hideout. The only two things you can interact with is the terminal, which this is where you manage all your contracts, which is your main quests. There are challenges, which is your side quests. Your inbox, which will receive all your rewards, and you have little emails. You will have the trader there as well to buy weapons, gear, attachments, medical supplies, all of that good stuff, and ammunition as well. So we'll go through what we can do in the hideout first. So first off, you might want to get familiar with your weapons. And the only reason I'm saying that is because they do behave annoyingly at times. They do behave pretty wild. So, for example, MP5 in this game, submachine gun only shoots 9mm, but for some reason it kicks loads, especially if you're having scopes. So the first tip is scopes kick a lot, like most guns do, but in this game, it seems to be a third amount. So unless you're firing from the and pulling your aim down, like that, I wouldn't really suggest doing that because you'll run through your bullets quite often. You can switch sights, anything smaller as your alternative, won't kick as much. You can also cant your weapon and fire it from shoulder, a lot easier to manage stuff from close range. And the hip firing isn't so bad, but it's a lot more control as you can see. Test your weapons as you will. Keep in mind that at the bottom of your screen you have on the left hand side you have a yellow bar with a arm with a flexed muscle there. This this is your aiming arm stamina, your stability, I guess, and how much you can endure. Don't let that run low. It differs with the weapon type that you're holding and the stance that you're in. So for a sniper rifle, if you're aiming while you're standing because you're not supporting yourself, you can see the stamina does drain a lot quicker. However, if you actually crouch, it makes a tiny difference. Yeah, at least I think it does. Anyway, the weight of your weapon does matter, and the stance that you're in does matter as well. You can notice with the pistol, it doesn't really go down anywhere near as fast. So that's the bonuses in having your different weapon types, which you can see here. Right now, we don't have any melee weapons. You've got your primaries, which will mainly be your assault rifles, your sniper rifles, DMRs. You can put secondary weapons in that primary slot as well. So we'll go through that in a second. Your secondaries are primarily going to be your SMGs, your shotguns, and last you got your holster, which will be your pistols. So, as you can see, UI is very Skip and Tarkov-ish. It's all got tiles that you can fit your weapons in. The main thing I want to run through is for your magazine slots, right? I'll explain how the inventory system works in here. If your squares are full, so say for example, if you try to reload your MP5, your magazine doesn't replace the slot that you're taking from and reloading, for example. because it's got no extra space in your inventory, your magazine will actually drop to the floor, which is very sad. So, if your magazine slots are completely full, just keep in mind that you will drop your magazines on the floor when you reload. I advise not to do it while you're in your hideout. Unfortunately, the magazines do disappear. That is a bug that I've experienced. However, when you're actually playing in the deployed areas, you notice you'll drop them on the floor. Another cool tip, you can always right click and unload bullets. So if you don't want to just grab magazines and take up your inventory, you can actually stack 120 bullets on top of each other. So that helps when you just need to reload extra magazines, saves you from carrying more magazines than you do ammo. Another good tip, if you want to not bother reloading your weapon and then filling the rounds in said weapon like I just did, you can actually double left click and you inspect your weapon, or you can just right click and inspect it like that. You can actually load your rounds directly in to the weapon that's already loaded with the magazine. So that helps. If you're especially quick and you don't want to faff around with dropping magazines and whatnot because you're full, it's always a good tip. Your stash over here. Apologies, I have been playing the game for 25 plus hours, but this is the stuff that I got currently. Your stash, primarily in the middle column, will store anything. Your boxes will be broken down in respective categories. So, if you want to store certain items in there, say for the weaponry box, it has to specifically be weapons or attachments or magazines. It's the only thing they'll let in there. You can upgrade it with cash. I've already maxed this out, so my space is, as big as it can be for each box. As you can see, ammo will only hold magazines and ammunition. Gear will only hold things like your vests, your plate rigs, your carriers, your bags, your helmets, all of that good stuff. However, big tip that a lot of people don't know. I tend to put salt backpacks in my gearbox because they're the biggest you can possibly buy, right? In case you die and lose your stuff, which can happen, at least you've got another one as a backup. However, when you're running out of space like I am, you can actually open the inventory of bags or vests or anything else that holds items. For example, I have put miscellaneous items in this one. Your side quests require you to sell certain items to vendors. So my best suggestion is when you're running out of space and you don't really want to store it in your stash area because you're primarily focusing on other things, you can actually put all the miscellaneous items that you need in here. In fact, you can put anything in here. It doesn't have to be gear specific at that point. So that's a big bonus. Medical supplies, very self-explanatory. Painkillers will heal you. Adrenaline injections will revive people. As far as I'm aware, at this current point in time, in this pre-alpha state, there is no time limit to reviving anyone in your game. So as soon as you get hit and you go down, if you don't have an adrenaline injection, take your time finding one in the world, and you can come back to your teammate and revive them anytime, provided that they haven't got bored left. But do that as you go. So that's that done. The other big tip that I want to go through right now is for weapons in this world. Right, I'm just going to show an example of the trade. Show a quick example, right? Weapons in this world range in their values quite drastically. At the moment, MP5s are the cheapest. They range from 450 to 590 at most, depending on which variant you want to buy. Bear in mind that this is the buying value of these items. Your selling value will be less because, well, it depends on the attachments you have on the weapon as well, plus their initial value when you buy them. So keep that in mind if you're stealing items in the world. Certain guns like the MP5s won't range a lot, neither will pistols. except for the 5.7, that's 765. P320 is 817. So you get close to that value. Now, when you get to your categories here that I'm running through, please don't forget, I was very selective in my sight as a gamer. I can't believe I missed this, but there is an arrow here to actually flip the pages. Use this because there's a lot of attachments that you guys can unlock, so you can actually buy. You can afford this early game. You can pimp out most weapons with as many attachments as you can afford. The only thing I'd really say, I wish I learned sooner. You can't just whack a sight on a gun. It has to be mounted on something. Whether you need to buy a specific handguard or you need to buy a specific rail, you need to do that. Sorry. You need to do that in order to put things like red dot or holographic or scopes in your weapon, or laser sights, flashlights, or even foregrips, or things like that. So you need these things mounted on your weapon first in order to put those attachments on. Now, if you are struggling, there is a built-in system in this game which I find very, very useful. For example, I don't know which one this attaches to. It just says, well, big clue in the name. But say, for example, there's one that you don't really know the name of, and you don't know where that goes to, because you're not a big gun nut like everyone else in the world. Click Inspect. Not only will it tell you what slots you can fill on that item itself, in this case the handguard, but there is a compatible items drop down as well. So it will actually tell you which weapon part or which weapon this attaches to. So it makes it 10 times easier for you. If you're not a big fan of that, I completely understand. The best way to notice whether something fits onto your weapon, actually, is by dragging the item on it. So, you'll notice. For example, I took the suppressor off as an example. But the suppressor can just be lifted to the weapon, and it will turn green. Red means, it won't attach on there. Green means it will. So it will magically do all the good work for you. Makes it nice and easy. The other thing I found out that was quite useful as well is for other things as well. So you may not know that certain suppressors, it's different in this case, but certain suppressors will tell you what items are compatible with so long as it's in your stash, on your person, or in your box, right? If it doesn't do that, because you don't have any of those items in there, you can actually click compatible search, and it'll actually tell you which attachments the suppressors go onto, vice versa. It works with anything else. So do tinker around with settings, just so you can find out what you can actually put in your weapons. Some weapons will require a threaded barrel in order to put muzzles and suppressors on. Other weapons won't naturally need that because the barrel's already exposed or extended. So you can just put the muzzles and suppressors on those anyway. Apologies. Okay. Last thing I want to go through in here. So, got the job board. Contracts, main missions. Now you can see that there are 3 factions here on your left hand side. So you got your faction reputation for the VLF, UICS, and the IGC. Right now, in this current state, as we're currently speaking, at this time, if you complete a contract for one specific faction, it will lower the reputation of the other 2 factions for you. Understandable, they're all rivals. They're all rivals between each other, so it would make sense that when you do one for a specific faction, you're naturally going to decrease the influence reputation of the other. So, for this, what you want to do is you want to prioritize VLF or UICS in the early game. VLF all of its reputation unlocks and tiers will focus mainly on your gear. So if you want good helmets, good plate carriers or rigs or vests, or even larger backpacks, then you want to upgrade BLF. I think rank 3 is when you get most of everything. UICS is primarily weapons. So if you want to unlock the majority of weapons or attachments for weapons, UICS is the way to go. You need tier 3 for most of them, tier 4 if you want to unlock the sniper rifle, I believe. And last, you got IGC. At the moment, I don't actually know what they primarily focus on for their faction, apart from unlocking the 5.7 and one very specific suppressor. So, in contrast, there's a drastically huge difference between IGC and the other two factions, so I would not recommend leveling that up first. If you have, it's not an issue. Like, as long as you do the main contracts, they're the ones that affect your reputation the most. So just keep grinding the same ones for that particular faction. Challenges themselves don't contribute anywhere near as much to the bar. However, they are pretty easy to do. What I've noticed here a lot is, say for example, you can get quests. Sorry, keep calling them quests. You get challenges from all three of the factions, and they could end up being the same. You stack that progress between all of them. So, say for example, this one is telling me to get 5 headshots for this faction. This one's telling me to get 5 headshots. Doesn't mean you have to get 10 in total. You just need 5, so long as you're tracking both of these challenges at the same time. Unfortunately, you can only track 3 at a time, which sucks because I've had moments before where I've had a sell 5 fuel to the vendor, and there was about 4 of them, and it made no sense. But as long as you're tracking all 3 at the same time, you can contribute that progress. So, because I gave you guys the tip and sorting your miscellaneous loot out, whether it's in your stash or in your bags, that helps massively. And once you've completed any of the contracts or challenges and you gain your respective rewards, all those rewards will then go in your inbox, ready to be received or redeemed in a way. The good thing is, there's not an expiration date for these. All of these will be filled with items, and it'll vary depending on the reputation that you have with that faction. The higher your reputation, the bigger the rewards tend to be. So, for this one, what I'd suggest is when you get to a stage like mine, when you're running out of space horribly, say for example, I've got a juicy Steyr AUG A3 here that's quite pimped out with a suppressor, high mounted sights, flashlight, and a red dot at the top. Don't redeem it just yet, keep it in there, because there's no expiration date. There's no way to physically trash the email with the rewards on it until you actually receive the reward, so just let them stack there, save it for a rainy day. Oh, need a drink. Last but not least, we'll go and deploy. So, see what missions we got. Now I need to get doing. I'll probably need to do a VLF one quickly. Go to the military outpost and place some bombs. I can totally do that. Although, I may want to switch my loadout. What MP5s here? Just saying. Don't need my sniper rifle at the moment. Thank you. Just put that in there instead. Perfect. Let's reload my items here, shall we? Cool. Now my character's set up and ready to head out. All I need is 5 headshots. That should be easy. Double check. Tracking these quests. So I got 3 on at a time. Go and deploy. If you want to create your party, this is where you do it. Choose to play online or offline. Private session on or off. When you select a location, it will give you an option to deploy, if possible, a morning slot or an evening slot. But as the game runs in real time, you can end up with a scenario like this where you're deploying in the afternoon or deploying in early hours of the morning. Primarily, you want to be playing with a custom loadout. Custom loadout means you can bring whatever you want. So in the left-hand section that you open on your inventory, this is what you're currently bringing with you on your missions. Whatever you take on the field, you can take back with you. However, keep in mind that also means if you die, you can lose everything that was on you. Provided is a safe option where you start with the most basic gear, like your AK, your Glock, and the most basic armor and basic backpack and helmets. However, that means you can't loot anything in the field and take it back with you. But as it says here, you complete contracts and still earn your mission rewards. So, treat that as you will, but we'll go and deploy. And the last few things I could ever run through will be in the game itself. So, as you go into the world, you'll know, like every other game, there are containers to loot. Now, there are 4 different types of containers so far in the world, and they're all static, so they'll never move, they'll never randomly generate a different place. But the ones you want to look out for when you spawn is first your mission crate, if it has mission items applicable to whatever you're doing. In this case, we have bombs. You put that in your inventory. If you turn around, it's actually a red case. Red cases hold medical items, so you want to get those in case you need the extra stuff, or if you just want to create a surplus of painkillers with adrenaline injections, that's up to you. There's a container here. In this case, it has a Glock mags, so I guess I'll take one in case. But you want to start turning your attachments on as well, making sure they're all comfortable. Another container here, in case you guys didn't know. And the last 2 that are very, very close by are over here. Ignore that buggy over there. Behind this yellow container. Pretty much walk straight from spawn. Got another container here. In this case we got one communicator and a old radio. Take those. Walk up this path. On the left hand side, there will be another crate. And these are the closest ones you'll find on spawn. Anyways. So you play games like Borderlands, you will do this quite often, like I do. But all that is there. Right. Okay, mapping system. So, mapping system in this game will reveal all of this. This is the first area of the game, it's called Quarry. And as you'll notice, there's exit door signs. And the closest ones to you will have a opening and closing states. So, right now this extraction is closed and it opens in 9 minutes and 42 seconds. Other ones might already be open, but they'll only be open for a certain time. So usually about 5 or so minutes they'll be open and then they'll close again. The only two exits on the map that aren't affected right now are the furthest ones in the southern region. So this one and this one are always constantly open. They will never close. If you need to know the areas of the map when it details your mission, these are the bridges. So you've got the north and south bridge. Southern side, you've got the military base. Southwestern side, you've got the factory. Next to that, this is the quarry. You've got the warehouse, which is up here in the northern region. You've got the radar tower, which is up here in this northern region. And then you've got a destroyed convoy, which is on this bendy road here. So those are primary locations of interest on the map where most of your objectives may be placed. In our case, we need to place this bomb site at this very small military outpost. So go ahead and do that. As I'm running through the world, you guys may notice that your footsteps are incredibly loud. They will be absurdly loud. The enemies will detect you from afar. Don't be discouraged by the fact that you can run around. However, when you are getting to places of interest like this, you may want to start sneaking, just taking it in slow time, because the enemies are pretty ruthless, unless you change your settings. They'll go through at the end here. Flashlights and laser sights currently aren't detected by the AI, just to let people know. So, because this game is like Escape from Tarkov, you don't naturally turn on your nameplates for your friends and be watching each other run around and look exactly like the enemy. Just turn your laser sight or your flashlight on. Best way to probably stop killing each other that way, by friendly fire. Whoa. Now it's getting interesting. Where was that? Interesting. Any more? Is that the first and only brave soul that's come towards us to shoot? Do take your time with this, guys. Once you usually kill the first one, there's bound to be another popping up. Like that one. 9 times out of 10, the coast is not clear. Whoever's heard the shots will most likely come to where those shots have been fired. So you might want to wait out a little bit just to be on the safe side. The last thing you want to do is have someone get the drop on you because you were looting. God damn. I love the MP5. I think that was it. I think. I'd like to think that was it. Other big tip I'd really like. If you really suck at spotting enemies in the jungle, like, you know, most people are, because they're camouflaged and they're in places very hard to spot. Don't be afraid to retreat and take back a more advantageous position. What I mean by this is use choke points, use large bits of cover that they have to run around, use walls, use watchtowers, things like this. What you want to do is when shots have been fired and the AIs do get attracted to that position, they will hunt you down quite relentlessly. So if that's the case, you might as well run back and use an easier option for them to funnel through and for you to just shoot them once you see them. In this case, the bombs are already planted, you might as well just check with these guys. Like, whoa! Nice. Very nice. Taking that. Please let us find an M4. So right now, weapons are currently the highest value items that you can find and sell in this game. So if you do want to get money very quickly, primary weapons are the best way to go. If I find an M4, I will show a little trick as well. I don't think I'm going to find one. Yes, here we go. So, full-size M4 will fit in this slot, right? Which we don't mind. However, just so people know, if you do want to grab an M4, and you have, say, 2 of them, what you can actually do is you can actually rip weapon parts apart, and the weapon becomes shorter. It becomes 1 column less. If you take off the barrel and the handguard, as well as the stock, you actually put it down to just 4 squares. So, with that in mind, you can actually get a pretty condensed item. Feels a bit cheesy. But M4s are not that uncommon in this game. You do tend to find them a lot more often than you think. If you want to get money quickly, in my opinion, put them down to that no stock, no barrel, no handguard state, and you can fit quite a few of them in your backpack, so provided you have a big one. Each one will average around 1,500 to 1,800, regardless of those 3 items that you ripped off of it. So you provide yourself with pretty good value. And imagine if you have 6 of those right now, you could sell that for quite a bit. Hence why I have an absurd amount of cash. But in its full state, it sells for 2,600, which is pretty good. MCX sells for 4,164. Again, pretty good. So just keep in mind that that is the case for those weapons, and you can really help yourselves out if you want to farm for money that way. However, for now, I am going to... Whoa. I have so much cash that it's overflowing into a different slot now. I like that. I like there's only a certain value of cash. I can only hold 100,000 in 1 square. That's absurd. That is absurd. I've already exceeded one square. Okay. Nice. Very nice. Okay. What we want to do is we want to untrack these for the moment. That's a shotgun one. That's an extract one. Fuel can? Really? Okay. Sell these quickly. See if we can make some space. Cool. That's that one done. There's an extract one that replaces that one. Good to know. Good to know. And there's just a fuel one left. God dang. Done quite a bit of work today. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed those little tips and tricks, walkthrough. It is a very new game. There's going to be a lot more added to it. There's a roadmap opened up for this game, and I'm going to be so happy with that. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. Um, if not, uh, apologize that the gameplay wasn't that exciting. But for the small mission that that was pretty much as intense as it was going to get. When you get to the bigger areas, the only other thing I could really say is for large places like the military base or the factory or the quarry, enemies in this game load in procedural segments. So the way I explain it is if you have a firefight in the street just outside of the factory, once you go into the factory, there's a chance that more enemies will spawn. It's weird, I know, because they should have heard all the fighting outside, but that's how the game works. So take your time clearing big areas. There is always more enemies. Always assume that. I'd rather be on edge, taking it carefully, than running in like you usually would in like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield game, and you just get popped and lose all your stuff. So I hope that helps everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.